Good afternoon everybody, Chris Fawcett from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, live from the beautiful Gold Coast today. I'm actually here for a conference. I've literally just got out of the car and we have a conference down here Thursday and Friday with a whole bunch of osteos, physios, chiros and so on, talking about headaches and chronic pain. So I thought today I would take the opportunity to talk about some weird, wonderful and wacky headache types, given it's Headache and Migraine Week this week. So just take a seat here. There we go. So basically when it comes to headache and migraine conditions, I've been talking obviously the last couple of days about tension headache and migraine, but there are a whole stack of other headache conditions as well, which people often refer to us for treatment or for assessment to see if there's something we can do about it. So obviously we've seen a few different types of headaches in our time. So we've seen one type of headache which is called vestibular headache or vestibular migraine, which is caused by a whole stack of different symptoms like dizziness, nausea, feeling unsteady on the feet, often referred to as my brain is in a washing machine, something on those lines, where basically they're not able to align themselves to gravity very well. They're not able to straighten themselves up. They just feel really sick, nauseous and dizzy. Sometimes they can't get out of bed, which is really, really nasty. So that's vestibular headache. There's a really interesting one called cyclic vomiting syndrome, which is basically more children get this one actually, where every sort of 2-3 weeks these poor little tots get nausea and vomiting for 2 or 3 days straight, and then they're as good as new again, and it just keeps happening over and over again. Hello all, just type in below, say hello if you're here with me, and love to join the conversation with you. So these poor little tykes get these nausea and vomiting, which doesn't have any sort of cause, so they go through all these really nasty tests like stool samples and blood tests and sometimes even lumbar punctures to find out what's going on with these kids, and they can't find a cause. Another one is basilar migraine, which is one which is like a cousin of vestibular migraine, which causes a few different other symptoms as well. We've treated a couple of patients with something called hypnic headache, where they actually wake up in the middle of the night and they've dreamt that they've had a migraine. They wake up with their headache, which is more like a nightmare than a dream. So I suppose the reason I want to talk about these today is because when it comes to these types of headache conditions, and certainly the way that headache and migraine is, all the different types I guess, described in the literature, they're more talking about the symptoms that are being caused by these things rather than the cause. So when we're talking about all these different types of headache, we've got all these different types of things that are happening inside the brain to cause all of these really weird and wacky symptoms. So like your nausea, like your dizziness, like these sorts of things. But the question remains, is there actually an underlying cause to all of them put together? And certainly when we're looking at all the different patients that we've seen and sharing stories with the other people that have been seeing these conditions over the last sort of 15, 20 years, is that we're finding that there's actually a common underlying cause for all of these things. And that underlying cause is a sensitization at the back of the neck, at the back of the brain, at the top of the neck, top of the spinal cord, which is called your trigeminocervical nucleus. And what seems to happen is that a sensitization of that part in your brain sets off a cascade in your brain, which causes all sorts of really funky symptoms to happen. So usually, like I mentioned in a video previously, where if you get an issue with this sensitization of this nucleus, you might just feel a little bit tired or off. You might get a bit of neck pain, you might get a little bit of a tiny headache, but for some reason with some people what seems to happen is that it gives you a whole stack of really nasty symptoms, because that's just the way that your brain has chosen to, I suppose, alert you of the danger or perceived danger that's there. So it's almost like you can look at these conditions, all different types of conditions, as almost like a continuum, where you've got tension headache at one side of the spectrum, where it's kind of and I'm talking sort of mild tension headaches, one that can go away with sort of Panadol and Nurofen, and can clear relatively quickly, all the way through to more your migraine type ones, where there's a little bit of more severe head pain with some more nausea. G'day there, good to see you. Join us. Type underneath and say hello. And you're sort of then working across to your more sinister things, which like your hemiplegic migraine, which knocks out one side of your body when you get it. So you get you're unable to use your arm and leg for any length of time for some people. Others actually go unconscious with their migraines. Others, they just get really, really sick, nauseous, and sort of straddling the porcelain, vomiting for a number of days, which is just absolutely horrible. So we're looking at all these different types of things that you're getting and thinking that if you can treat them all the same, sort of with your triptan medication or with, sometimes there's things like a Panadol or your beta blockers, sometimes even your anticonvulsants, there must be actually a common cause that causes all these things to happen. And that cause is that sensitized trigeminal nucleus. Now, the reason why me as a physio am talking about this is that quite often the thing that's sensitizing that trigeminal nucleus is the neck. Okay, so the top three joints of the neck actually have direct input into that sensitized nucleus. Okay, so if there's an issue with your neck, a bit of a stiff joint at the top of the neck, not moving quite right, some muscles that are tight, or for whatever reason your brain's decided that your neck is a threat, whether it be from a whiplash injury or a fall or something along those lines, what your brain can do is it can start this cascade off and cause these really nasty symptoms to happen. So even though it feels like there's, the world's ending when you're having these symptoms, because frankly it feels absolutely terrible when it happens, it may only be something very small that's sensitizing this system in the first place, where it could just be a stiff joint at the top of your neck, which is the issue. And time and again we've seen this happen, where we've got these really nasty symptoms like vestibular headache, where they're very dizzy, these migraines which make you very, very nauseous or worse, and it's actually this stiff joint at the top of your neck which is sensitizing the system and causing these things to happen. So talking about these all this sort of myriad of different headache and migraine conditions, there's a whole manual talking about all sorts of headaches and migraines, but perhaps there's only one cause, and that one cause might be that sensitization at the back of the neck, the back of the brain, top of the neck, that sensitized brainstem, which is causing it to happen. And the key to is to finding out what is sensitizing that brainstem in the first place, which the neck is a prime suspect a lot of the time. I guess the only way you can find out if you're suffering these sorts of things is to get assessed really skillfully by someone who knows what they're doing, especially if you've got these really confusing symptoms like nausea, dizziness, vomiting, passing out, losing feeling in the side of your face. You need someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to that. Obviously you need to have all really sort of specific testing to make sure there's nothing sinister that's being missed. But if all your tests are clear, all your scans are clear, and they're looking for another cause, then the neck's obviously a really good place to start the next part of your search, given the neck is quite often what's causing all of that to happen. I hope that's helpful today. I'm just about to duck inside and start some work to prepare for this conference tomorrow. I'll be reporting tomorrow from the foyer of this hotel, talking about trigeminal neuralgia and cluster headaches tomorrow, which are really evil, nasty headaches that, the cluster headaches go in behind your eye, and the trigeminal neuralgias are more facial pain, and it's really electrifying, it's awful stuff. But I'll be talking and sharing a few stories about that tomorrow, about what can be done to help those. I hope that's helped today, and it's good to be here on this Wednesday afternoon. And if there's any questions, as always, tag, like, share underneath the video below, and more than happy to get back to you with any feedback or advice. And same if you've got any questions, feel free always to shoot us a line anytime, because National Headache and Migraine Week, we're wanting to get as much awareness out there as we can about the different things that we can do to help headache, migraines and facial pains. From me, Chris, it's good afternoon, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks, bye-bye.